Hey, what's up guys, Soakley, and we're here in Warhammer 2 on the Steppes of Asia. I've actually not played on these just yet. CA had released them a little while back, a new kind of triple set of free-for-all maps that are kind of all thematically tied together. This is going to be the third one in the progression. Basically, the theme of it is Asia, I think, is going to be this high elven fortress or this city high up in the clouds, and the other free-for-all maps, you know, Asia 1, 2, and then this one being the third, I believe. The other ones take place like on the lowlands and have different types of terrain, whereas this one is up in the city itself with lots of little cityscapes and city fighting and street fighting. So this is what I really like. This was an awesome little map pack that CA released. I do hope they release a couple more of these. It makes it interesting. In this case, looks like we have 4 different factions, none of them being the High Elves, who are going to be here vying for control of the city. We've all heard of its splendors, and we have a fair bit amount of funds here. So myself playing as the Greenskins, I am going to bring 2 of these Ragnarok spiders, one of them being the Queen of Ragnarok. She's getting here, salivating at the idea of laying eggs in all and weaving her webs across all of these areas, giant spider webs, to catch the rainbows. So I have that. I have, let's see, a couple Orc Big Guns on the streets. Have Durusty Heirs, a couple Black Orcs in the back. I have Wazog over on his big boar. And then I have a couple Goblin Rock Lava catapults. So most of the meat of my force is obviously going to be in the Ragnarok spiders. Then I have a couple bosses, Goblin Big Boss here with some Goblin Wolf Riders, just archers to pepper the enemy. And then on the right hand flank I have a couple more units hidden. These are all going to be Nasty Skulkers, little Gobbos, Night Goblins, which are unbreakable. And then I also have the 8 Piccoluni Fanatics. So this is cool. You don't really get to see the Greenskins played too often. They're not really a top tier faction in Warhammer 2. But nonetheless, they are definitely a fun faction to play with. And I love zooming in on these guys. He's got a little half moon spectacle around the eye, looking very dapper for sure. So that's going to be my force here. Let's take a look at who we're facing off against. So it looks like on my left and coming at me is going to be the Lizardmen. They've dumped most of their money into beasties. So you have a Bastillodon with the solar engine, Krokgar of course on Grimlock. You have some temple guards in here, another Bastillodon with revivification crystal, Cold One Riders. And then up through the front he has feral Bastillodons and solar engines with a mix of Saurus warriors. So pretty formidable, very tanky force. We'll see if my own tanky forces can deal with it. It's going to be dinosaurs versus spiders in this scenario. But those are not the only players. We could take a look at the other forces. Looks like there's a small, tight, compact force of chaos dudes. A lot of kind of chosen spam, as you'd imagine, at these army funds. So great weapons here. 2 of them, kind of shining in the dark. Another force here. Yeah, it's almost all chosen with some aspiring warriors or aspirants. I can't remember what they're called. Yeah, aspiring champions. And then some basic chosen. So yeah, chosen across the board here with some champions. Kolek Sun Eater, and then he has Chaos Warriors with halberds for anti-large. So pretty formidable force that can go head to head with a lot of dudes. He also has a Chaos Sorcerer with the Lore of Shadows for some good damage. And he has another Dragon Ogre Shaggoth to go buddy-buddy with Kolek over there. And then finally we'll cover the last force, which is going to be Skaven. A lot of kind of evil factions, and I guess maybe the Lizardmen being the good ones, but yeah, a lot of defilers making their way into this great city. Skaven does have some gutter runners, which will be good to kite around the slow chaos forces. He also has a big core consisting of a lot of Clanrats shields, which is okay. He has a fodder force. Behind that he has some armor-piercing Plague Monk Sensor Bears, which is good against chaos as well. And then behind that he has some Warpfire throwers, some crews. A lot of these guys actually, so I'm glad to see them. You don't see them played too often. In the rear he has some Poison Wind Globadiers and even some Plague Claw Catapult. So some serious damage that can be dished out here if he doesn't get charged too quickly, because if he does, he doesn't really have that much. Just a couple Plague Monk Sensor Bearers and some Storm Vermin with Halberd. If Chaos went all in on this, they could probably stomp them, so we'll see how that turns out. And a single unit of Rat Ogres. But anyways, let's keep an eye on my side of the battlefield, which is where things are going to start to get underway. Gonna move forward here primarily with my wolves, and these are gonna be the ones who are gonna just try and comb the streets here. Looks like my rock lavas are actually gonna start to pepper these positions. A couple of those shots going wild, although they are gonna be hitting some of these. I believe these are temple guards. No, just Saurus with spears. So yeah, I'm trying to take out some of his anti-large units. and distance in anticipation for some of my guys coming in with kind of the giant spiders. But I also have to worry about this skink chief. I have almost no anti-air. Only real bows I do have are going to be these wolf riders and the rusty arrows. I do use one of my spells here, I believe, yeah, Effigy of Degit, which causes damage to an opponent, and it does lock them in place. So he was expecting to come in and Lord Snap my guy. Luckily I'm going to be able to see that off, so that goes pretty well for me. You know, my spider is to turn about. It's got a nice view of that. So yeah, just preparing themselves for a charge. And I'm just pretty much just waiting here, calling back my wolves, and Wazag is taking a look at the enemy. And all you can see in the bushes over there is some giant dinos waiting out of it. So this is going to be a pretty cool fight. Looks like he's coming down the rest of the streets, but is going to start to take perhaps some shots. Oh, that's so cool. It actually destroyed the tower. Didn't notice they had destructible terrain. That's an awesome feature. Yeah, so he's going to start to pepper these guys, which is good for me. I'm going to be using this castle thing as a bit of an anchor to my flank, and I'm thinking of throwing some units around here. But for the time being, this little nook that I've placed myself in is really perfect, preventing the solar engines from firing into me, as well as this little hill as well, really giving me a good blocker on the line of sight. So these lizards can hiss all they want, but they can't quite see me yet. Here comes a couple rocks. Gonna be skipping down the hill. There you go, doing pretty punishing damage against these guys. I'm going to charge in and just continue to pester again with these Goblin Wolf Riders. Really not much damage I could do. I was expecting maybe to be able to snipe some range units or artillery, but you know, in this scenario, not much I can do against the Lizardmen. They're just pretty impenetrable there. He has come up here with some of his Basildons. You can see them starting to shake and charge up, getting ready to fire into my ranks. It's going to clip, you know, a couple of my little goblin guys, but I'm not too worried here. They had a little bit of cover of the hill, and even the enemy kind of blocking his advance there. So here comes the formation. The rest of them kind of making their way up here. Chaos is going to start to square off against this force. Moving forward with Chosen with great weapons, not the greatest of engagements, because you'll take a look at this, warp fire throwers, rat ogres, all this is going to get ready to engage with the front line. So, oh shit, although he does have a lot of spells that he's going to be getting off, so pretty good throwing forward the Chaos Sorcerer, Lord of Shadows, doing a lot of damage to these Storm Vermin, and I presume we're going to see a Pendulum come in here. That would be the sensible move to do. Yeah, it looks like he's getting ready for something. It looks like he does pull out of that fight. But this is a little bit interesting of an attack. Piecemeal assaults on Chaos, or sorry, on Skaven. He does somehow force these rat ogres away, but here comes the rest of his forces pouring in. And yeah, let's take a look at the warp fire throwers, because as I said, you don't get to see them too often. So there you go, gonna start dousing the streets with a lot of warp fire. I don't remember exactly how it works, but warp fire gas or goop or ooze, I'm not quite sure how it works, but we're definitely making a mess of the place here. Some of that hitting the screen. Wish you had your 3D glasses on. But yeah, looks like Kolek, or at least this Dragon Ogre, yeah, Dragon Ogre, looks like he dodges a bit of this choke point, and man, these Chaos Warriors are tough. They just blast through the front there, regardless of all the damage being put in. This guy's gonna land himself in the center, and then meanwhile you have all these Chaos Warriors and Chosen gonna be smashing into the Clan Rats. Those guys are gonna go down, leaving not much in the reserves here, although Chaos does need to move up its remaining dudes. Over here, I've gone ahead and clashed with the enemy, sending in Orc Big Guns against Saurus Warriors with shields. He has been pretty heavily damaged by some of my early strikes, so I'm doing good work. Meanwhile, up through the center, he's gotten some of his Saurus Warriors caught into my guys. He was going after some of my Goblobbers, but it doesn't really matter too much. All I did was pull in Black Orcs, Nasty Skulkers, so I'm going to get some armor sundering against these guys and really take them out, as well as some Spider Hatchlings that I raised up to aid my dudes. He does also have a Feral Bastildon who did pierce through, but I'm going to be able to focus on him here soon. Here you go, the Rusty Arrow is going to be putting some shots right up into that Sigadon's butt. I'm going to commit on all fronts. Wolf Riders flying into the flank. The 8-peak Loonies getting in here. Crazed as they are, going to try and take out these guys. Maybe chip off a little bit of scale and tail and claw as prizes. Best thing about them is that they're unbreakable. Besides that, not great stats. But actually, looks like this additional fire is going to be helping me out. Looks like a lot of the monsters, Grimlock or Krokgar included, is going to toss himself into here and absolutely destroy my Orc big guns. But that does open up an opportunity for me to sneak some Black Orcs around the flank. They're going to be coming after some of his Saurus spears. And then meanwhile, my 2 spiders are going to be coming after his Bastillodons with solar engines. They are somewhat defended by Saurus spears and Temple Guards. These guys could take me out, but I'm going to be moving with the Goblin Big Boss and some of the remainder guys here. In the meantime, Black Orcs are going to be staying strong to kind of hold this position with the Nasty Skulkers and the Ragnarok Queen. And overall, I'm doing okay, although he's starting to get into the back lines with the Cold One Riders and definitely blasting through with Krokgar here. So that's a little bit worrisome. Meanwhile, on this front, the 2 sides are going to be engaging. Skaven has its rear lines, artillery, and shenanigans pretty much unopposed, and it looks like that's finally going to be doing the tipping point damage that it needs against some of these Chosen who are engaged. But reinforcements are coming, and they're inbound, so this is not going to look good for Skaven. Here comes the Sorcerer coming back in. So it looks like, oh, yeah, he may be targeting something here. Let's keep an eye out for the Penobral Pendulum. Okay, what is he casting? Not entirely sure. Okay, maybe he's, okay, he's getting ready using Forbidden Rod to get more power reserves, but I don't think he even needs anything. He's really chewing through these guys. Warpfire Thrower is going to try and blast through, but Kolek here going pretty much unopposed. Left flank as well being torn to shreds. This is really, really bad for him. Scoreboard says that Skaven has gotten a fair amount of points thus far. Most of it, yeah, he hasn't been getting that much kills, but it does stack a little bit of the value. Killing Chosen and beating up these high tier units does get you a lot of rewards. So I'm dropping into 3rd with the Lizardmen getting a bit of an advantage over me. He's thrown in a ton of dudes into my guys, but problem for him is I've now detached my hordes. I have 2 Black Orcs going to be closing in on these Saurus spears. Looks like the Temple Guards are committed, but with the Warlord's boys and a bunch of other guys come in, I'm going to be able to do work. And I have another Black Orc force, or actually I guess they're splitting a couple units, going to be trying to tank out these Bastillodons, but that's 3 of them who could pretty easily take out my spider, so I'm going to have to bring up reinforcements. One of them, plus Wazag, has been pulled over on this side to try and take out this Krokgar unit. It's pretty high health, but I figure the 2 guys and the Queen herself should be able to take him out, plus the arrows inbound, I should say. And do a fair amount of damage. Let's take a look at him. So yeah, he's dropping pretty fast. My Queen, super high health, 8.3k. He's down to 57k, or 5.7k. Plus Wazag getting some debuffs on him as well, really helping me out. Yeah, Itchy Nuisance, so decreasing his weapon damage, melee attack. So this is really going to pitch the battle in my favor. So that's why the Skink Chief is hovering overhead, trying to help out his dude, 1 blow dart at a time. But Krokgar has to pull out, meaning he's going to leave the remainder of his guys kind of fending for their own. Meanwhile, on this front, my spider has been forced to retreat, or forced to waver. I think she'll probably retreat here soon, with this guy charging up a blast. Looks like he's obstructed or something, but luckily I do break through, destroy these Temple Guard. Oh, point blank into the Ragnarok Spider. But luckily, like I said, with the Black Orcs chomping at the bit here, taking out some of these Saurus and Temple Guard forces. It's paradise for them. They look freaking awesome. So yeah, this is going to help. Once these guys get in and commit with the spiders, we're going to be able to take out these guys who otherwise are pretty powerful, but with this combo here, we're doing good work. Yeah, pretty awesome fight, but like I said, a couple dudes, both of my Black Orcs forces and the spiders doing pretty good. And yeah, Swarming in here will be doing yeah, mincemeat of his guys. Couple feral Bastillodons on this side should be forced to retreat here soon. Orc Big Gun's helping to tie this down, but he's still putting in the hurt. And the center, we still have a fight going on between the Queen and various other forces. The Skink Chief is going to be trying to go after Wazag. That's one of the annoying things with the Skink Chief. I didn't really have a counter to that, so he can just sit on top of my Lord and snipe at him all day long. As the Orcs, I can't be having that early on in the fight. I'm going to try to pull out, but you can see him Parthian shotting into my guy. So this has me a little worried. I'm going to start to rout, but hopefully he'll rally and this guy will get distracted. Meanwhile, I'm going to leave them to their own devices, dropping some spider hatchlings to take care of them. And the Spider Queen is going to come back over here to try and help out because we have a hot mess. Hrothgar came back into the fight. Looks like he has some swords with spears as well. So this is a mess, but I'm getting 2 of his guys routing. So we'll see how this battle turns. What a glorious mess this is. So now, okay, finally the 3 spiders, perhaps the mother and the 2 daughters, I guess, have rallied here, and they're gonna get their teeth around Hrothgar and the other Bastildons. Looks like he's gonna be looking for an out here. Meanwhile, my black orcs dwarfed in this fight, despite being huge in and of themselves. Yeah, let's watch this pursuit. Pretty awesome. So we're able to seize the day, force his guys away. 2 of them are still left standing, exhausted, so I'm going to leave 1 spider behind to try and get them to rout off the battlefield, and I'm pursuing with everyone I can. Even this little big boss does try and hold firm. The littlest of the spiders there, perhaps the latest baby, but he routs out of sheer terror there. Yeah, I got a lot committed there, so I send back some black orcs because they're slow enough anyways, seeing as these guys have rallied. Try and save my spider. Meanwhile, the rock lava still in the back, 101 kills, doing work. And I've secured this side of the battlefield, saw off the Feral Stegodon, and now all I have to deal with is the Source Warriors with shields. Now where does that put me? Well, I have 13k, so I'm pretty happy with how things have turned out. Looking at the scoreboard here, and looking at the battle, it looks like both enemies have kind of managed somehow to disengage themselves from the fight. Gutter runners are going to be trying to kite the enemy, but this Dragon Ogre Shaggoth going to be staring at them across the plaza, daring them to throw a shuriken his way. I don't know if they'll dare. Yeah, looks like they're going to be coming back to lick their wounds, which is maybe not the best of ideas for Chaos because he does have the range advantage with the Plague Claw Catapult. So the way I see it, it looks like Chaos does still have perhaps the edge. If he were to commit to this fight, I think he could win it. So my goal here is to just sit on top, allow the bottom 2 players to fight it out, even each other out, and finally, maybe if they surpass me, that's fine. I'll come in and clean up the leftovers. So all I have to do here is just make sure that the enemy on my side of the battlefield, second place, is seen off. So I'm going to be just pursuing Hrothgar here pretty well, and I even have that Goblin Big Boss coming back after being terrified, still nomming at his ankles here. You can see the little stabby stab animations there. Another cool thing I got going for me is those spiders in the back do have some archers on them, so they're going to be trying to fire into him. Meanwhile, if you're going to make a rapid pursuit, I wouldn't recommend doing the one that makes you crash through all these fences, although it does make for a kind of a hilarious escape here. Let's get a nice little view as he makes it through. That's hilarious. So there he goes, making his way over to this distance. It looks like I even have some little spiderlings chasing after him. So this is probably not how he saw his days ending. Oh, but there you go, bringing him down. My guy's pretty happy. They're going to collect a little bit of a trophy from the tail. And then I'm going to come back around. Meanwhile, I still have this annoying skink chief who's doing cold blood, doing all kinds of stuff. He's the last one standing, and he's going to try and snipe at my men. So I have to find a way to see him off the battlefield because he's being quite annoying. He's going to try and come in and perhaps try and snipe at my queen, but she's pretty good health, so I'm pretty happy with this. And meanwhile, my guys are just going to be making their way around, killing off the Bastildon. Got a couple of them still running about, but we're going to feast on them and revive ourselves in doing so. Let's get one last pounce. What kind of health is he on? 235, so we should be able to kill him off, but we got a lot of lumbering, slow creatures. One of them backed up against the wall here, and my spiderling's going after this guy. So yeah, things are calming down, I would say. It's the pursuit here. I'm trying to rake up as many kills as I can. This is a lot of free points, just kind of lying around. Ooh, looks like this the queen does finish off another big monster, this time a Bastildon, and she has her next prize in mind. Going to be going after him, this guy with the solar engine. Looks like my Goblin Big Boss thinks well of himself. Is going to try and hold this beast right to its face, but gets just pushed to the side. He goes skimpering over to Mama here. And this is the slowest pursuit you've ever seen, although she does still have some little moves to her. And every chomp there should be doing a decent amount of damage. Okay, it looks like it's going to take a couple strikes to take him out. But I do find at this point a bit of a solution against this this roving skink chief, who's, again, like you can see here, really annoying, picking away at my black orcs. And he's going to try and go after my my big boss here, I believe. So I'm going to try and pull him into defense. He's taking a couple hits there, and it shatters him. Yeah, so no coming back from that. I was pretty pissed off. Oh, looks like she does finally catch her prize there. Doesn't have time to spin a web, but we'll come back to this once the city is ours. But what I figure at this point is, hey, I have some archers up here. I was at first thinking of retreating, but seeing the amount of damage that it seems to be doing, not only to health but also morale, I think I might as well commit to this. So what I do is I pull this spider back. Let's go ahead and ride this beastie. I'm going to tell my couple bowmen here to start from their sky platform to target that guy. So you can see a couple of the shots going to go in there. He does his best to dodge, but I think with two forces here, two mobile platforms, we're going to try and make our move towards it. And my spiders there salivating, waiting for this guy to hit the ground so we can feast on him as well. But he decides that is not going to be his fate. It looks like the skink chief is going to decide to pull out a couple arrows in him there. Actually, I do want to press pause. Or does he have an arrow in his head? That's kind of crazy. I do love how CA renders all this stuff. Okay, we'll zoom out a little bit. Oh, I don't know why we're getting some glitchiness here. Let's take a look at this. That's weird. His body keeps disappearing there. Yeah, it looks like an arrow right in the head. Oh, and that guy has a couple through his jaw. So that's definitely the time to head him out of the battlefield. That's pretty cool. So he's going to send signals back to, I guess, oh my god, here come more arrows piercing him. So he's going to send signals back to the rest of the Lizardmen saying, we've lost the steps of Isha, no one ever come back to these haunted steps. But with that, that's going to clear up the remainder of the units on my side. I'm sitting comfortably at 16k, which means you can add up both of the enemy, and I would still be winning out. So we'll see how this goes, but they still have pretty substantial numbers. And I'm a little bit scared here that they've disentangled. I'm wondering if in chat, for instance, they're discussing strategies to turn on me. We'll see how that ends up, but it looks like they're going to start to push forward. And I'm getting a little bit of inkling that may be their plan Warplock Engineer and all that kind of going to start facing my way. But if they were really doing a a peace strategy, I would expect these Chosen, etc., to kind of turn about and perhaps try and seek a strike on this side. But yeah, here you go. Last couple moments of the battle. Fast forward here, or actually maybe not the last couple moments, but the last moments of calm before we re-engage. And I really love when Total War battles do stretch into multiple phases like this. You don't see it too often, but when it does happen, it makes it really fun and engaging. And I like this free-for-all map, really conducive to that. So it's like they're going to get ready for big engagement up through the front. That piece that I was talking about looks like it's not going to happen. Gutter Runner is going to come and support Warp Fire Throwers as well. Going to try and help this out. But let's see these clan rats, if they have, even the courage to hold strong. Looks like they may not quite have it as Chaos comes charging through. Oh my god, what the hell just happened? It's like we got some crazy lightning strikes on these guys. And then Golek is going to come after a Skrulk, try and pin him down. Oh my god, he just smashes him. Skrulk is going to get some abilities off. What does he pop here? Probably got Rod of Corruption and a bunch of other things. Stand to Die is going to be popped. He's trying to hold out here. And he's going to raise some clan rats to try and rebuff Kolek. Kolek is dropping pretty heavily. So that's pretty amazing, some of these units. And I'm going to come in here through the back, being treacherous as the Skaven would like. And two of my spiders are going to eye their third prize here. Going to be worming their way, or spidering their way, I guess you could say, towards Skrulk. And he barely has the strength to resist. My guys are going to bowl him over, plus the remainder of his little sensor bearers attending to him. Gutter Runners are going to commit as well. We'll see who wins out, but this queen, such good staying power to her. She's been true source of strength for me. But it looks like this Dragon Ogre Shaggoth does consider coming after me. Chaos is going to be cleaning up Skaven and is thinking about committing here, but perhaps thinking of actually coming to the rescue of the remainder of his guys on this front. So torn on both sides, so I've been able to, like I said, play the part of the interloper here. And just as these Poisonwood Globadiers were getting ready to fire at my guys, Chaos comes in and disrupts them. So that was pretty good saving grace for me, allowing my spiders to do what they do best. Feasting on these rats. Not as appetizing, I would say, as lizards. Yeah, this is stuff of nightmare for these rats. You know, everyone's running off the battlefield to tell their tales of horror here. First we had that skink chief, and now we're going to have some censer bears going to be going off to tell that tale as well. Skrulk going to be licking his wounds, I guess, on this side, trying to recover, but he gets tossed about for his troubles, and now he's been completely isolated. He's going to be forced to rout. Chaos, meanwhile, is just rampaging through the ranks of Skaven. With Skrulk up and away from them, the remainder of their dudes are going to start routing. So we've knocked out completely. You can see this force here. And I'm more than happy to give the Skaven a beating, tip the tides in favor of Chaos, because, you know, if Chaos is in last place, I want to be helping last place more than anything, because he has a while to catch up to me. And then also I don't want all these free points to go to waste. If I can pick up points, I might as well get it to, you know, boost my advantage here. Meanwhile, I do spot, again, another opportunity to weaken Chaos. For instance, here they have Chaos Warriors with halberds. These guys are probably one of the few things that do still stand in my way of coming in and cleaning house with my spiders. So what I'm going to be trying to do is face off against them with my Black Orcs. They're going to close ranks here and start to march forward. I should be able to take them out, and the enemy realizes this and does a double take as I close in. Looks like we have a Dragon Ogre going to be coming against me. Getting the first smack off against my guys. And I turn around with my Queen, try and do some damage. We'll see how this goes. Kolek does come back around, so I'm getting myself into a little bit of a precarious situation here. Two of my units out of position. It does buy me the time to engage against these Chaos Warriors with halberds. But yeah, this is a lot of my guys engaged in a situation where they're completely isolated, so overextending myself definitely here. But if I can snipe these two big monsters, that'll be a huge advantage to me. I'm taking quite the beating, most of it directed at the Queen here. With those Chaos Warriors in the mix, could spell trouble for me. I'm going to be focusing down Kolek. He's down to 977 health. Really trying to take him out, but he has all kinds of abilities. Stand and die, more armor piercing, and with that, somehow he does force both of my units here to rout, which is really devastating. I guess it was these Chaos Warriors making it to the back, hitting me, and that was really bad, because Kolek here, take a look, is at 620 health, a couple more strikes and I would have had him, and my dudes are also wavering. This one down to 1k, this one down to 2300, so really low. This one as well, struggling. But at least I still have my Black Orcs, and they do see me through this little engagement, helping to save my Queens, or my Spiders. Yeah, it looks like he's going to come after me, continuing to try and fell my Queen, but now I have some Black Orcs and others. We're going to return the favor in kind. My Queen, thankfully, you know, her daughter, I guess I would say, is going to be taking the brunt of these blows. And she is going to go down, 827 health. Another strike like that will likely take me out. Let's keep an eye on here. Okay, you can take 3 more strikes. I'm taking down this Dragon Ogre, but looks like I rout. So this is a messy situation here. That's about all my forces committed. I am chasing off Kolek, so he's down to 586. My own has 1,000, so that's going to be a tight engagement in the back. But now with all the Chaos Warriors coming in, Skaven actually has the pressure relieved off of it, so it's going to be coming back. So things have kind of gotten closer, so this is pretty scary stuff. All my spiders are scattering in 3 directions. I'm gonna have to hope they come back to the battlefield. I have the Warlords boys coming back from the engagement, but everything being thrown in. Black Orcs fighting Chaos. This is pretty awesome stuff. It does remind me of the tad bit of, oh my god, and then Skaven, of course, in the back, gonna be coming here with their warp fire throwers. Just revving up, relishing this little bit of treachery that they can get at the last moment. Come on, dudes, keep firing, even the fight up. So yeah, luckily I have Chaos kind of facing Skaven, so this is really going to help me out. Even up this fight. So things are looking good. Meanwhile, Kolek is continuing to be chased off. I'm going to try and ensure he goes off with this Arachnarch Spider. I have my Rock Lava out of ammo, but, you know, I want to pull him up to the fight, perhaps as a rallying point. And, yeah, my guys are still wavering pretty comfortably in the lead, but Chaos is starting to get its way back up. Luckily, again, the pressure is taken off of me. You can see forces ping-ponging in all ways as Chaos does resurge against Skaven, with just one Dragon Ogre Shaggoth able to pretty much destroy them, although Boyz Globadiers may be able to take them out. Let's keep an eye on this. It's 1,300 kills. Here they go. Come on, guys. Throw another volley. Ooh, looks like most of those shots do whiff. That's... Oh, but they do come back. So this is crazy stuff. So back in the middle, like I was going to say, this battle, Chaos Warriors against Black Orcs and the like, does remind me of that bit of 40k lore I had heard a little while ago. Oh, and I'm getting some some fanatics popped here. Try and do some damage. But yeah, it reminds me of that 40k lore. There was, at some point, this basically war boss who was basically going through the warp in 40k on an unprotected ship. And at some point, there's a greater demon that sneaks aboard, because in the warp you're interfacing with chaos, and looks like they didn't really have a Geller field or anything to protect them, and these forces of chaos kind of materialize inside. This greater demon sneaks aboard and starts wrecking havoc in the bridge of this ship, and all of a sudden the you know, everyone's screaming, things are going to hell in the bridge of this ship, and the war boss of this particular ship, well, they itch for a fight. So he hears all this screaming, he dons his like power claw, and he runs towards the battle, seeking this glorious fight, and he ends up fighting this greater demon in the bridge of his ship. Very, very long fight. He almost dies multiple times, but eventually does manage to take out this demon, and from that point he names himself Tuska the Demon Killer, and he gets a taste for killing demons. So what he does after that is he eventually will continue to enter the warp, I believe, itching for more demons, intending for demons to board his ship in order to take them out. And he gets more and more of a following and this itching for killing chaos. So I thought that was a pretty cool story. Of course, the story doesn't quite end there. It's pretty ridiculous bit of 40k lore. What he does is he gets this ship, and like I said, he'll go around beating up these demons for quite some time, but eventually I believe the demons do wise up and stop kind of boarding his ship, knowing that, you know, these are even crazy guys compared to them. These aren't just some humans that they can devour quite easily. So anyways, he rallies up his troops because he's not getting his fill from these demons from the warp, and he heads towards the Eye of Terror, which if you know anything about 40k lore, is one of the places where chaos is strongest, and it's one of the places where you can connect over as you enter into the Eye of Terror, where you can enter into kind of the I can't remember what it's called, but the Immaterium. You can enter into basically the realm of chaos there. And so they send their Wa into this territory. The humans who are guarding this area, because it's heavily defended, because they want to prevent chaos from breaking out. They have a lot of defenses, and those commanders around Cadia, etc., are all extremely frightened by this chaos force, or sorry, by this greenskin force and this greenskin boss who's coming in, and they're not trying to break out of the Iron Terror. They're insane, and they're trying to break into it. Whereas all the defenses of the Empire here are facing inwards to try and prevent an outbreak. This is someone trying to break in, so they're completely confused. So this wall comes in, and it hits some of the defenses, but for the most part, they just continue to plow right on through past the Empire, or the Imperium's, sorry, defenses. And basically, they plow right on through into the Eye of Terror, and they're going to go ahead and fight on all these, basically, you know, chaos territories, these demon worlds. And they go from place to place, knocking about demons and doing all kinds of crazy stuff, whittled away over time, and eventually they do find themselves kind of on one of the last planets that's entirely made of blood, and there's no one there for them to kill, so a little bit pissed, and Tuskar here is so ticked off that he tells everyone to just start firing into the planet. It turns out that the planet itself is alive. The second they do that, a bunch of these like blood demons, etc., pop out of the ground, and they can have a bloody fight against all these demons that have now come out of the living planet. So this is the kind of shenanigans you have in these territories. So anyways, Tuska is there happily now with a foe, but all of his guys are getting felled left, right, and center. He himself gets engaged with this blood prince, this demon who comes out and engages with him. They have I believe it's like a multi-hour long fight on this planet, battling away. It's very glorious. And eventually this demon does kind of pierce his abdomen and essentially has him down and killed, and he's celebrating. And Tuskar reaches up with his, I think, power claw, essentially grabs this demon's giant demonic nuts and squeezes them, incapacitates him, and finishes off the demon, I believe. So a crazy story from there. Where it goes is he dies after this event, having had, you know, basically the equivalent of an orc orgasm, fighting on this planet and killing off this, or fighting this great demon. And this is heaven. So essentially what happens at this point, as it turns out, I believe the gods have been watching, the chaos gods have been watching, and they've so gotten the attention of the gods that they revive them. And Khorne, I believe, is the one who sees this glorious battle, and it very much entertained him. So what he does is he revives Tuskar, the demon killer, and he revives his troops of orcs, and essentially for hundreds, thousands of years, they were revived every day in a very much Valhalla-esque setting where they revive every day and fight demons. The demons are revived, and they just fight over and over and over for the pleasure of Khorne. So that was an interesting little bit of I guess, lore that I picked up the other day from Arch Warhammer. An interesting little one there. I probably misrecall a little bit of the story, but yeah, anyways, feel free to correct me. But that's what this battle was reminding me of here. This little paradise setting with chaos fighting the greenskins here. So that's, I imagine amongst these are going to be Tuskar, you know, Tuskar's forces in here. And perhaps instead of Tuskar, the demon killer, we have the Arachnarok spider, the demon killer here. It looks like they're going to be able to surround this Dragon Ogre Shaggoth with its tail whipping my guys back, but that's nothing to them. They're going to be actually finishing it off. This is a bloody good mess. The remainder of the Chaos Forces coming after me, some chosen warriors. Do have a halberd coming after me, which is a little bit scary. So I'm going to try and send some Black Orcs against them. Reposition with this Arachnarok Queen, or Arachnarok Spider, I should say. And we're going to do a little bit of dodge. Pull out of here, engage in the rear, and then go after some of these chosen, which is a more prime target. No great weapons or halberds to deal with me, so I'm going to try and see if I can even the odds. Seems like this is the most beneficial of engagements. In the back, my Black Orcs do manage to shatter or cause to rout this Chaos Warriors with halberds, so we're teetering on the edge here, trading with Chaos. I'm up 4k, but this could easily turn if he's able to rout me, so I'm trying to do everything I can to trade cost effectively, as you're seeing. This spider does end up routing, so I toss in my rock lava catapult. Not going to do very much, but they're just biding me time, hoping that this spider returns from routing, and that my guys over here can turn about and perhaps start to rest up for their final engagement here. Pretty crazy stuff. Let's take a look at these dudes charging forward. That's a little bit scary.
Moving fast. Slaughter.
There we go.
Let's get up.
We're going to leap into combat and take a look at this. Yep, still, you know, the gap is closing. I'm 3k up. My spider did not come back from routing. This would have been a perfect engagement on the flank here to knock these guys out. But in the last final crush between these mighty warriors, it looks like I'm actually going to be the one who goes down. Both my guys are going to flee. And with that, the battle does end. You saw that I was 3k down, but I had enough of a bonus that despite me losing out in this fight and Chaos gaining that little bit of extra points that you have if you win the battle, I nonetheless squeak out a Pyrrhic victory. So that was pretty awesome. Let's end the replay and take a look at the stats to see kind of just how close that one ended up being. And yeah, look at that. Really, really close. We both had 2,400. He had 41. And I had 84. So every little bit of points that I picked up there at the end was worth it. Oh my god, that was the closest fight ever. And if it were that bit of 40k lore, well then we would just revive and do it again the next day, which is ironically I guess what I'll be doing by playing more multiplayer. But anyways, let's take a look at some of the units on my side. Fair amount of kills on the Orc big guns, pretty impressed by that. A lot on the Black Orcs, obviously doing really good work in combination with actually some of the nasty Skulkers with the piercing of the enemy's armor. They were very useful. Big bosses and Wazog, not super powerful, but I like them thematically in there. And then this Night Goblin Shaman was also in there as well. He was doing Itchy Nuisance to try and decrease the melee defense stats. So a bit of a more force multiplier, I should say. Mentioned the Rock Labber is doing pretty well. These Arachnarok Spiders may not have gotten that many kills, but you can see the chevrons on them really slaying the enemy big lords and tanking out a lot of the fights. So that was really awesome. So yeah, that's pretty awesome. On the other side, Godzilla here with the Chaos Forces. Like I said, just kind of spammed elite tier forces. So lots of chosen. You just throw them into the fight and they chew through Skaven. 210, 225, 189. Pretty impressive. Dragon Ogres and Kola getting a fair amount of kills as well. And this Chaos Sorcerer with the Lore of Shadows, 243. Although I do kind of question how much of that was kind of magic that doesn't feed into the final points here. That may have been what kind of cost him that extra 43 points that he needed. Some of those kills might have been thrown in the trash there. Taking a look at Skaven, a lot of numbers, but not quite sure what was the reasoning behind the clan rats with shields. Yeah, maybe they're a little bit of fodder to allow his guys here to fire, but at the end of the day, you're kind of feeding enemies with that. Stormbringer with halberds could have done well, but they got charged by chosen, and yeah, can't really counter that. I would have gone perhaps instead of the Plague Claw catapult, maybe with a Warp Lightning Cannon, just because you can expect in this setting a lot of big tanky monsters, and it would have done more damage than this guy, especially at sniping those big lords, and in the close confines of the city would have done really well. And then finally you can see here the force of the Lizardmen. Pretty decent army composition, but for some reason, I guess in the engagement against my own forces, just couldn't quite seem to break through. I would have thought with this army composition, I mean, if you just compare it, probably would have done well. I think it's just the choke pointiness of some of the places where I was able to pin him down, prevented his guys, you can see here his big dino core from doing too much. A couple of them with 103, but that's mostly against some of these, 8-peak loonies and stuff like that. So would have expected these guys to do a bit more. Perhaps if they'd engaged kind of in a big hammer blow with the main line, could have done a little bit more there, and maybe waited with these Cold One Riders around the flank, plus Krokgar as a mobile force to get around the side. Had these guys perhaps tied down my Ragnarok Queens, not going to kill them, but could have tied them down, and allow Krokgar to sneak into the back and do a lot of damage. So perhaps a little bit of miss micro here, but nonetheless was a noble fight. So yeah, that's it for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed. Stay tuned for more, and I will see you in the next battle. See ya.